Okay, guys, this is Marius Landman here. Welcome to everybody from around the world. We've got a whole bunch of new people just who subscribed. If you are new to the long-term trend reports and to all the other things we do, the day trade signals, then welcome on board wherever you are. We provide long-term trade signals, short-term scalp trading. Everything is here. We can help you with anything. If you have any suggestions, let us know, and we're more than happy to work with you. But really, the community is growing really big all around the world, and we're getting much better at how we present data and how we forecast our reports. Do the training, watch the videos, educate yourself so that you know what to look for. So what I'm going to do here today, I'm going to start here with Ethereum, and we're going to go through the report that we had last week and then run quickly through all these coins. There's about 20, 30, I think 50 actually, that we need to get through. So I'm going to be very quick. Just for those people that are, it's somewhere in the world, it's 11 o'clock, like in South Africa, certain places, it's actually early in the morning. So we just quickly want to get through. With regard to Ethereum, what we need to expect, see this blue line here? That is the mid band of our algorithmic analysis. So that will give you an indication where the market is going to move. Right now, I believe that we are out of this sideways action in Ethereum, and we are looking at a spike, or not really a spike, but a nice uptrend coming. It could be actually a spike, because I'm going to show you now. Remember, I've always said that NEO front runs all the cryptos, and front run what Ethereum will do, then Bitcoin, and then all the other cryptos are going to follow. We expect this blue trend to go upwards here, and I still expect a peak here around about the week of the 24th. It could be that this week gets extended slightly between 25, 26, 27, 28. Now, let's quickly go and have a look here at Bitcoin. This model here is the palindromic algorithm. That basically just means that when you say a word like wow, you can say it backwards and forwards and it still means the same. You can use a number like 919. You can say it backwards and forwards and it still means the same. There is mathematical equations that are built into Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies. No matter how you work it out, whether it goes up or whether it goes down, the formula can work similar backwards forwards. Now, I'm not going to show you exactly what we do and where the data comes from, but the past will always tell you what the future is going to be. In our data, and I'm just going pure on objective facts, data, our data shows that we hit the top at about 13,888. Okay, a little bit higher than that, about 13,888. What then happens is there must be a time frame where the algorithm stops. Now, in general terms, and I touched a little bit on that when I went into that video yesterday, and I'm not going to show too much information here, but there is a 197-day cycle, which basically ends here on 26 to 27 September. A day here, a day there, because the world is in 24 hours. We don't know, do we start in New York or do we end in South Africa and Johannesburg? We don't know. That's why there's a 24-hour time frame. And you can't be 100% correct with dates. But nonetheless, what I see in the data is that we come to an endpoint here with a 3-day grace period. Now, there is a model that I have been following, and many of you know that has come with us now for the last 5 years, that I've been talking about Daniel's timeline. And I'm not going to get into these kind of things now and get into Revelation, how timelines work, because otherwise you may just offend some people, and I don't want to do that because sometimes there's sensitive people here, guys. But in general terms, there's a timeline that ends. And if you break the timelines down to 7 days, 21 days, 30 days, there's a 90-day cycle, there's a 40-day cycle. There are cycles all over the Bible and all over the world. And that's where Fibonacci comes from too. Fibonacci is actually an algorithm. Many people don't know that. The pyramids, how you build the pyramids, is an algorithm. Now, what we try and do, we try and work out exactly where is that endpoint of the top of the pyramid, as per se. And sometimes we discover data as we move on. And what we have discovered is that the high point could be about 13,888. Way back in 2018, we had a similar play where Bitcoin went up to almost up to about 13.8 and then came down. And then in June, we had of last year, we had a similar play where it almost came up to 13.888. We are going to bounce perhaps up to this target here. But what I expect is going to happen, and you probably saw the video that we did yesterday, I'm not going to go too much into that again, but what we expect here for Bitcoin is something like this, and then a spike into this target here of 13,888. Then the market is expected to flatten down and then go downwards. You saw the video I showed you yesterday when we take Apple, gold, silver, and a whole bunch of other coins, which we, sorry, not coins, but stocks that I'm not going to mention here. But when we amalgamate all the history of the last 20 to 30, even 40 years, then it kicks us out a model where Bitcoin must go. And you saw in that model there that Bitcoin is expected to still go up. Maybe 20, what is that percentage going? 27%, I believe, or probably a little bit less now. Yeah, around about 27%. So this is what we expect in Bitcoin. Now this, in my opinion, looking at the palindromic algorithm, we come to an end point. It also aligns with the Bayesian algorithm. I'm using two algorithms, and it says to me that it comes to an end point. Now from this specific point here, that high point there, we have to run about 40 days and 40 nights to get to an end point. Now you'll see that there's 4 days extra, maybe 3 days, that will run it here to about the 30th. Now there's a grace period that they talk about. If you look at Daniel's timeline, you look at the Bible and all that kind of stuff. And as I said, I don't want to get too much into that. But if you look at that, we have to perhaps give time here and give it a 3-day grace period. But it could be that we run up here to about 26, 27 high point, and that Bitcoin spikes up slightly, a little bit higher, into 28, 29, and 30. If I look at this sideways action that we had here, the market is completely slowed down. And one of the indicators that I'm looking at is BSV. We're going to get into that quickly now. But just with regard to Bitcoin, you can see here that Bitcoin is still following here. I'm on the day chart. A bit of a sideways move here on the bottom, a bit of a breakout here, and we expect another breakout here upwards here. I do believe that we could go sideways, but I'm not going to rule out that we could have a very big spike. Simply something like this, having resistance right at that point, then coming back and go up again to the last point. So this is how we see it. Now this point here at 13,888, wherever that high point is, I don't know exactly how high it's going to be because I can't measure what people will do in the future. When people see the market is moving and spiking, you know, people get nervous. And then what they do, they buy the spike. And sometimes what happens is then it just goes up and up and up, and then it drops really quickly too. So we don't buy the spike. You want to be in the market right now to take advantage of what is coming. Let's move on here quickly to Theta. And I'm going to follow the report that we had last week. Let me just quickly open that report on my other screen. So the next chart there is Theta. Now, last week with Theta, we were about here. I'm just going to remove all this. Okay, so you can see with Theta, Theta was just doing this little there. That's where Theta was. So Theta then followed this blue line pretty accurately, really. You know, so you can see it came down there, spike there, consolidating here. And you're going to see now, I believe, either today or tomorrow, but over this weekend, is that when Theta starts moving, it will do this, and that will be a great exit point once you get there. Now remember, be on a larger scale, what we said last week, is the theta is doing this cup and handle. There's your handle, and then you get the breakup. If you take, just on average now, if you take this target here, this is about the target that it's going to break out. Therefore, that gives you about a target of, I think we said last time, about 85, depending on where you put this line here. If you put it here, the breakout, you get about 85, 87, somewhere around there. Am I going to wait till we get to that target? No. As soon as I move upwards here to this target here, somewhere around here, I'm starting to take profits. Because you want to get out of the market. Don't push the limits, because the market can turn around at any time. The next coin that we're going to look at is BSV. Last week, I believe that we were about, when was that, 10? We were about there. So what has happened last week is that we went up, we went down, and we are in this range here, just trading here. So close, guys, so close. I was thinking that we should have broken out at least here by Tuesday on the latest, and we haven't. And I sent out a message on Telegram, and I said, don't exit your positions at BSV yet. Because remember last week we said if we don't spike by Tuesday, Wednesday, then it's going to be a concern. But if I look at the entire crypto market, there's one big spike that needs to occur. And this could potentially take BSV literally skyrocket. You will see this. It'll go like this, according to our data. So this target here, we still follow that. Now, give BSV some time. I think if we move it on 27, 28 a little bit, it doesn't change our model. It does not change that at all. But you will see, in our opinion, a spike upwards here, possibly to the target of 255, a bit of a pullback, and then a secondary spike. The reason for the pullback is going to be when this starts spiking, many people are going to exit at that position. I will exit there too. I'm going to sell 30, 40%. So it takes a downtrend and then it spikes again. But when Bitcoin spikes, BSV is going to spike as well. So keep an eye on Bitcoin, keep an eye on Ethereum, and then, more important, keep an eye on NEO. Let's get into NEO as the next one. Remember last week, let me just clean this up here a little bit. Last week with NEO, we made a comment and we said that NEO is going to be one of the coins that will spike first. And remember that NEO was just there, just breaking out just there. And directly after the presentation we had, the webinar, NEO went straight up like a rocket, up to there. What did I do and what did I say on the webinar last week? I said, when you see the spike, start exiting some positions. And I exited some positions right there at that top, some more there. And just this morning when I saw the spike, I exited some positions. Now, I'm not really concerned about catching this wave, but remember what we also said last week. This 55% rule is something that you need to take into account. This target here at this blue line, at this point here, is very important. When you get to $27 in NEO, start considering taking your profit because you're getting here to a high point. Now, it could be that the market overruns and it runs higher. So be it. The best is cash in, guys. If there is time left, you can still run it up. And look what happens here on the top here, by the way. It goes up to a high point and then it comes down. It stays in this range. So you are going to have time to come out. But here is what a lot of people are going to say. They're going to say, wow, NEO is actually forming a very nice bullish pennant. And what's going to happen here? The market is going to break out. We believe that the market here for NEO is going to break down. So just be careful. Now, if we are wrong with NEO and you've cashed out there, let's say you've cashed out there and the market goes up, when we see it goes up in October, what do? We just re-enter positions and we go in. But I can tell you now that there's a pivotal point because when I look at the palindromic algorithm, what's happening on the left of a chart will happen on the right of the chart. They are almost equal now. So At that point, I believe that we should be going down. Then I also look at all the trouble we have in the world. COVID, they talk about a second phase now. There's some things that are just doesn't look good. Okay, the American election is coming up. So we take all these things into account and we say to ourselves, maybe we should just be a little bit conservative, let all this trouble go away, let the American election go away, cash in, sit back and wait. After every single American election, go and have a look. Stock markets dropped. Bitcoin dropped. So I'm just saying, be careful. A month before the American election, which is almost now, and a month before the American election, we always say that for the last 6 months, we're going to be very cautious. So NEO, in a sense, front runs all cryptos. If you look at where NEO is now, see that spike overnight. That spike is going to happen in Ethereum as well. There we go. Maybe that spike there. That spike is going to happen in Bitcoin as well. That spike there. And then it's not done. It's going to drop back and spike back up again. So what you can do for your own analysis now, follow the NEO algorithmic chart pattern. It will give you an indication of what is going to happen in the market. If you look at Litecoin is simply following one of these two patterns. What you can do, we can move these aside and just draw one line. Let me just get that. We can draw one line from this bottom here, and that line there says to me that we can hit about 69. 69, 76, in that range. One easy way to play this is simply to just go and draw a line here, and you can see here that there's actually a line in there. You can see here that Litecoin actually broke out. We're actually on 12 hours. Let's just go and put it on 4 hours quickly. You can see here that Litecoin broke out here, went sideways. There's another break here, and it's broken out there. Litecoin is just about to make a move very quickly. And this move is also going to be something like this. And eventually what will happen is we are going to hit this target of about $69, $70, almost equal to that target there. Now, if we apply the 55% rule, very important, from that breakout, more or less. Now, we don't know exactly where this breakout is, but I do believe the breakout could be somewhere there. You don't have to have it 100% correct. But look at this. See there, the 55% rule? Exactly to that pink line. Now, that pink line was actually our algorithm high point, long before we even had this drop. It's very interesting that these things are working out. So there you go, that's the high target. But am I going to wait for the high target at 76? Nah, probably not. You know, as soon as we spike upwards here, I'm taking profits. There are two models here. If you look at this red model here, it could be that Litecoin stays on the top there a little bit. But this model here shows that Litecoin goes to a top slightly for 2 days, maybe stay at the top and then comes a drop. So you can have a small window of opportunity to exit. And what I'm saying is, don't be greedy. If you get close to this high point here, maybe you've got some time left. Between 24, 27, that date, that time frame. And remember, not all coins are going to spike and hit the top at the same time. NEO is going to hit the top first. There's a probability that Litecoin can hit the top as well just after NEO, which will play catch up. So it's impossible really to say exit on this date because people have got 50, 60, 100, 1,000 coins. There are different coins. Each coin is going to be different. And you've noticed now in this last week that certain coins spiked up like Theta and NEO. Certain coins barely moved. Certain coins actually pulled back or has not moved. Now let's have a look at XRP. XRP is still, instead of doing a algorithm here, we do believe that we could go back upwards to this target of about 0.37. But I will personally sell and exit positions as soon as we get to these high points. There's a video that we did a long time ago, actually about 3 months ago, where we showed that there's 3 high points that it actually gets, you know, something like this. And I haven't had an opportunity to go through that video, but it was somewhere here on the bottom where we said we're going to hit this high point here. It's going to come up here and hit a high point, and then it hits another high point. Now, when I analyze this, there's the high point. It was just lower. So there's your high points. And the same principle applies here. Now, if you take the fact that this high point here is the same as this high point here, that point there is going to be the same. And then we can have a bit of a pullback. So with XRP, when you get back to about 0.31, don't be greedy, just take your profits. This may be only about 33%, but just be very careful with XRP. Don't think that this thing will just go and moon. There's so much talk on Twitter. There's so many videos on Twitter. Man, I tell you about XRP is going to moon. You know, just be cautious. Spread your risk. Make sure that you own a few different coins, maybe 5 or 6 different coins. Don't put all your money, like what some people suggest, only in XRP. Okay, now let's have a look here at BNB. BNB is following the algorithm pretty much okay at this moment. We do believe that there's still a bunch of money to be made here, a bit of an uptrend here, something like this. And this can actually make you some really good money. What is happening is that people are fearful at the moment. They're moving money out of cryptos, out of DeFi. They move it into BNB coin. And this is what's driving the price, sort of. There's some other 3 factors too, but I won't get into that now. But anyway, you can make some money in BNB. And I believe most likely today, tomorrow, we're going to see some really good movements in BNB. Let's quickly run through Dash. Now, Dash is everywhere where we have about 2 different lines, a blue and a red, is something that we are not 100% sure of what the market is going to do. But in general terms, if we were to take this out and we take this out. Now, remember last week we said we don't think this spike is going to happen. I can tell you now also, because this is moving too flat, we will probably go for this red model here. But that red model could actually be something like this, a very slow movement in Dash, and then suddenly just a spike into this target here of 106. So with Dash, just be very careful. If we do break out from this point here, if you apply the 55% rule, you look at about almost about the same height as this one here. And that comes to a target of about 106. When Dash breaks 100, it's a psychological number in Dash. It's always been. And at that point will be a great point to limit exposure to Dash. For me personally, I am not going to wait on these targets here. It's simply because to get these targets, something drastic now must happen in a very short period of time. Maybe it can. There is talk that there's going to be some announcements tomorrow in the USA with regard to fiscal implementation, monetary stimulus, all that kind of stuff. There's already talk that they're going to keep the interest rate at 0. Now, that's not news for us. I don't really know what really can push the market up here. So what we need to do is to trade very careful. If you get back to 100, now let's say if you were a new member and you bought here at 100, no problem. You just wait till it comes back, but I would definitely exit, get your money back. This is not a time to see how far you can push the market, because when this starts to turn around, it can drop really quickly. And our data does show that we get to a point like a spike and then it drops. And that spike can be lower too, like we said last week. So Dash, just play that careful. With regard to Bull, Bitcoin Bull, we still see a move upwards here, at least back to this target here of 5539, and it could overshoot to 8576. Now, if that overshoots from the low point, that will give you about 198% profit. Now, you can buy this on FTX. Now, remember, guys, we don't recommend that you 3 times, 10 times, 20 times, 50 times your money. That's a quick way of losing money. Trade conservative. And if you want to do those kind of things, make sure you're educated and trained, because the exchanges will work against you. Okay, let's quickly move on here to Bitcoin Cash. Bitcoin Cash, we're still looking for a bit of a spike here. I do believe if you look at BSV, that we still have a bit of a spike there that we are expecting. And that can only happen when NEO, you saw what happened with NEO now, if NEO spikes again, it looks to us like Bitcoin is going to spike and then Bitcoin Cash will go up as well. Now, have a look at that. I still expect a spike here, up here, into this target here. Maybe breaking this target and going into about 356. Nothing has changed on our prediction for this target. Then Ethereum Classic is kind of like following the move upwards. And we said, I think from memory, I said last week, we were about here, I believe. And I said, just look at Ethereum Classic. It will just stagger upwards. It will just do that slowly. And when you hit this target here, that is a good time to take some profit. We do have some higher numbers on Ethereum Classic. These targets here of about 9.6, yes, it can be hit, but what you want to do is bring your target down, the 55% rule from the breakout. See that breakout is about almost about there, 55%, more or less, takes us exactly to this point here. And look where that target is, about 8.8. Am I going to wait for that 8.8? No, as soon as I'm back at 8.2, maybe between 8.2 and 8.8, if there's more time left. And remember, we believe the high point will be between 24 and 27. Give it a 3-day grace period. And we will update. We will send you blog post updates similar to what we've done here. Remember with this, this video here, that will be in your blog posts. And that will give you information about what Bitcoin is doing, how far we are there. So we'll update that with a short video. And by the way, when you're there, just go and have a look at this model as well. You know, in this one, we actually play a video showing you what Bitcoin is going to do. Yeah, this is actually a good one. Let's just quickly have a look at this. So right now we are about there. Let me just go forward here in time. Right now we are there. See that red candle there? That's where we are. Our data shows that there's a spike coming up here into point number 5. And that spike there is perhaps where BSV can move upwards with a bit of a downtrend. And then look at this, there's a second spike. And that spike could be the second spike for BSV, but also for most to all cryptos. Then what you have is you come down. This FJHI, that's a Y. That means a change in direction, not a J. So the Y is a change in direction, and from there onwards, we're going to go down. And just there's one question, Edwin, I think you asked the question. Remember in this video, I say we're going to drop down to 10,000, and then Edwin said in your email, Edwin, you said, but I thought the market is going to drop a lot lower. Now you say it's only going to go to 10,000. No, guys, in the video, I just said temporary. That's a temporary drop to 10,000. I'm not saying that's the end of the drop. Okay, so just make sure you understand these things. Let's go back here to Wendy, where was I? Ethereum Classic, I believe. Yeah. Okay, let's quickly have a look at Tron. Tron, in a certain sense, there's some bad news that came out with Tron. Tron actually pulled down a little bit, but do expect this, guys. Have a look at these chart patterns, and you'll see that there's a high point, there's a high point, there's my other high point. Regardless of sometimes when it pulls back, it will rectify itself and come back up, and then go sideways and then come downwards. Okay, so with TRX, as soon as you start seeing some movement upwards, that's a great time to exit. Then the next move here for Digibyte, remember this red line is our algorithm line, and surprisingly, it's working out perfectly. Remember, we were here last week, somewhere there, and our data showed that we will go down slightly, then comes that spike. Expect a bit of a downwards movement, but then you're going to have a very nice big spike, what we expect in Digibyte. Maybe topping just topping that one. And guess what, guys? When this tops that, be very careful, because what you're going to hear on social media now, that Digibyte is going to go to 0.05 and to astronomical numbers now. But I believe that we're going to have a bit of a drop here, then go slightly up. So if you can't sell at that exact high point, then what you can do, you may have a second time to exit somewhere around here. Okay, so keep that in mind. But don't play around with Digibyte. This can drop so quickly as well. And what will happen is, you see how it staggers downwards. When it comes here at this point here, it's going to stagger downwards. You don't want to be in the market because it may not go upwards here. It may further decline. So don't play around here. You can always re-enter markets. So meaning when you sell there and you see that this market then goes up and it goes parabolic upwards, you just simply buy back and just get back there. What you want to do is to safeguard your money at the moment. Okay, with regard to OMG, we do have a bit of a problem here with OMG that we do. I think last week we said that we're going to go A, B, and then C upwards. Now in this model here, you can see that it dropped down here, thank you, and then dropped down here as well. It could be that OMG just does a bit of a spike upwards out of nowhere. And it looks to me, if I look at the algorithmic data, that this is indeed what is going to happen here. Because if you pull this model apart here, this algorithm red line here, you can see here that we've got a rounding corner, a bit of a drop here, and then from there onwards, we have a nice big move up. So that nice big move upwards, exactly what I said last week, is going to be perhaps the same level as this with a maximum target into this level here. But now, very interesting, if we look at, let's say, just applying this rule that we are using, the 55% rule. If this is the breakout, then your 55%, the 55% rule is only there. And remember, I have said that we believe that OMG could have already topped. Just remember that. It could be that this was the top. So trade OMG very carefully. In the next move up, if you see a spike, I would definitely exit there. Let's move on to Link. Link, similar, really similar actually than OMG. Now, if you pull this model apart here, that drop here is most likely this drop here. And then what we see is a bit of a move upwards here into about 22. If we break this target of 22, there's a big probability that it could overshoot into 47. And that's a gigantic gain. Again, with regard to Link, you will see on the top, it will make a spike. You'll have some time to get out on the top. Now, this one here, ADA, is just all over the place. This is similar to that of Ethereum Classic. What this will do from now onwards, we were about there last week. From there onwards, has just done that. But now, just expect a bit of a staggering move, just something like that upwards here. Don't be too confident on ADA. We said last week that from this breakout, apply the 55% rule, and that comes to this target level here of about 0.4. However, this target here of 0.919 is still a target that I'm looking for. But guys, look at this. If we break any higher targets of about 55% and there's time left, you need to get out of your positions with ADA. It's not the time to put money into cryptos now. It's the time to exit cryptos. You saw what happened with OMG. You saw what happened with the other coins. With Link, again, just a bit of a drop here. And from there onwards, we do believe it's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 upwards to a top. Again, work on the same top here. And what we said last week is that we do not believe that these targets in BAT is going to play out. Okay, just with regard to BAT there. Then with regard to DOT, DOT was the coin that we said, let's just have a look here. We were last week about just there breaking out. And in this time, you can see that we went up sideways, and it could make this nice move upwards here. And that would still then give us your 55% rule, where we complete that breakout here. Okay, if you can get again to these high points here, that high point there, that high point there, that high point there, it's a great time to exit. Okay, there's actually a really nice trend line actually forming there. So okay, yeah, let's have a look at this again. This is one of the coins that I'm going to hold long term. We're not going to just keep it. When this hits a target here, it's going to be very difficult to break that target there. It could just simply come down. And remember, guys, on these kind of coins, we are very limited. Algorithmic data. Algorithm data is kind of like the data in the past. If you know what the past was, you can predict what the future will be. That's kind of when you look at algorithms. But with this coin, we don't. So we're just going to analyze this from just an Elliott wave perspective, Fibonacci, and we will bring it in because we are realizing that DOT is actually built on a certain, very interesting, they copied a certain cryptocurrency and just created DOT. And on that old cryptocurrency, we do have some data. If we have a bit more data going forward, we can find out where in the model is DOT according to the other algorithm, and then we can potentially predict this. There's two other coins that I'm going to show you as well, which is very good. Let's quickly move forward here. EOS. Again, EOS, Ethereum Classic, Link, I think BSV, all these coins, Bitcoin Cash, has formed this little kind of like a hump. That's done now. And what's all left in most of them is an Elliott wave count, a simple count, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, done. But this won't just work with Elliott wave. You're going to find it's going to have an extended wave. So for those guys that do Elliott wave analysis, what you do is you work, your bottom point starts here. Many people put it there. It doesn't start there. For some reason, we found out the bottom of the Elliott wave starts there, and it could be a rapid Elliott wave upwards. You know, like a very good impulse wave. Your leg number 3 normally is an impulse wave, but you could see impulse wave 1, impulse wave 2, impulse wave 3, a drop, and then extended wave number 7. Okay, so that is how we see that play out in most of the coins upwards here. When you see the distinct 5 waves, that's a sign to exit when you get to between 4 and 5. To exit between 4 and 5 is normally very difficult. Remember that, because your drop between 3 and 4 is normally a very big drop. Your drop between 1 and 2, this is what I've noticed in cryptos. Your leg 1 is always like a short one. This drop is a short one. Then your third one is actually always kind of like a nice impulse wave. But then your drop between 3 and 4 can take a little bit longer. And then bang, it just shoots up again. But this will actually drop again and then form a extended 6, 7 waves. Okay, so just keep that in mind. Then we look at band, a very bad performer. This is one of the things that I said that actually dropped, but it's doing exactly the same as OMG, EOS, Bitcoin Cash, and some other coins. So there's your drop downwards here. From this point onwards, look for a Elliott wave count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exit. Let's move on to QTIM. Yeah, here we go with QTIM, for example. Now, last week, now there's a typical example actually. Move that on. That is not your bottom. See, the problem with Elliott wave is where do you put your count? Because if you put it here, you could make a mistake, and then everything that you do further on is wrong. But what we have discovered is that if you want to do the Elliott wave count, put it there. all coins now. You put it there on 16 September. So your first leg up is going to be higher than that, or equal perhaps. But look for a bounce upwards here, something like this. And not all coins are going to do the same movement. Okay, but you can use this as a general idea. Now, sometimes it only has to go slightly higher. And some of these coins, QTIM could do it, could spike up to 8.4. But when, remember this guys, when you get to the high point there, and you get to that point there, it's time to exit. Let's have a look here quickly and see where the 55% rule would be. This hasn't yet broken out, but it looks like almost about there, ready to break out. 55% is actually very low. So that comes here to that point there. I don't know if we analyzed that, yes, last week. Okay, but nonetheless, if the 55% rule is there, that's a good point to limit exposure if you have time left. Now remember, let's just clone this line here. If I clone this line and put this line here at, let's say, at about 29, and I'm on a 4-hour chart, and we move this to about 24, we should just actually speed this up a little bit. Sorry, I had it dragged out. You can see that we could potentially go upwards into this target, something like this. And there's your 55% rule. That's about there at point number 3. If you get to that point there, in all honesty, 55% back upwards, a great time to exit. What you can always do, let's say, for example, if you put $10,000 in and you get to this high point here, and let's say now, for example, you are at 14,000 and you made $4,000 profit. Take your $10,000 off the table, put it back in your bank account, and ride the $4,000 upwards and see how far you can push it. But in all honesty, guys, for me personally, I play the 55% rule. Any of my coins that are going upwards here, depending on if there's more time left, I exit. Then with regard to XLM, similar what we said last week, still one leg upwards here. And that leg there is nothing different than just a standard Elliott wave. From there, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Into perhaps the target of 0.15, nothing has changed here from last week. We still keep that target. And then ICX, nothing has changed there either. The 55% rule applies here. And you can see some of them are a little bit lower. You could potentially hit these targets here. Back up here again to that pink line. And that's a great exit point. Okay, with regard to ICX, so nothing has changed there. With regard to ZEC, again, this is the spike that we are looking for. It's going to be very difficult for Zcash to break the $93 mark. We said that last week. If it breaks that, and what we want to see a strong break, which we haven't seen. Remember, it came up to this point, was supposed to break out here upwards. So you really need to lower your expectations here. Maybe just into this target of 93. Remember, the closer we get to a time point where markets are going to drastically change. And believe it or not, but I believe the stock market is going to turn over. I want to call it roll over. They're going to do it slowly. And then at one point, you're just going to have a very big drop. And I believe they will do it somewhere before the election, before people have to go and vote. Because let's not get into political stuff, and anyway, guys, we are not political, we're apolitical. We look at the political situation, take advantage of that so that we can work out what is going to happen. And believe it or not, if the stock market drops, I believe that cryptos could drop too. I know there's people saying that when the stock market is going to drop, that gold is going to spike, silver is going to spike, and cryptos are going to spike. And they say the reason is because people will start taking their money out of the stock market and then put it into cryptos, put it in gold and silver. Okay, so I'm going to tell you what I see as we get into that. Now, remember, ZIL is still following the same algorithm as Theta. We still look for a move upwards here. Still follow this exact pattern. When you get to these high points here, exit. Let's move on here to ZRX. ZRX, like we said last week, is just really a terrible performer. But in essence, look at this quickly. That could be the drop. So we could be following this blue algorithm pattern with a drop here, a bit of a move upwards here into this high point here. Lower your expectations really in terms of profit on ZRX. If the breakout is going to be somewhere there, you could have this target here. I think this pink line, I don't know why the pink line is there, maybe we put it up there last week, but about 0.7, somewhere around there. But again, simple, trade very simple, apply the 55% rule, okay? Then this one here, which is Monero, is actually following our algorithm data. Look for a bit of a spike in XMR, Monero. When you see that spike, I believe it could go higher than this target here, into this target here of 119, maybe 138. Great points to exit at that point. And look at this, the 55% rule is actually a little bit higher there. So it shows about 138. On some coins, the 55% rule is lower, okay? So that's got to do with mathematical equations, where some coins are, they spike higher, they move higher in terms of Bitcoin. And then with regard to XTZ, again, look at this. All coins are doing this and just ready to bump up in price. Wherever that price is, closer to about 25, 26, 27, 28, don't be too rigid on a time frame. I will update it in blog post and in reports. If we do believe that the time frame from 24 to 27 is the max, we'll move on. And remember, I already said give it a 3-day grace period, because not all coins are going to spike at the same time. Some will come later, some will spike first. Remember about a year and a half ago, I said that coins are going to break loose from Bitcoin and not all coins are going to follow the same patterns. This is what's happening. And it's going to be in the future become a little bit more complicated. And that's why you need to be in groups like what we have. Master trades, trend seeks, scalp trading, where you get taught and trained and follow certain coins, the coins that you like. Overall, you can still follow Bitcoin, you can still follow Ethereum, and we can have the long-term trades. But you need to now start divesting your portfolio and thinking really clearly what you're going to do. X amount of your money is long-term trade. X amount of money, short-term trades. And that's how you're going to play the game. Long-term trade is a really good strategy to make some insane money. But going forward, for example, guys, just by the by, you're going to see that Bitcoin may drop down to, let's say, I'm just giving a figure here, 3,000. Then Bitcoin will go back up 100% to 6,000. But what is going to happen with the altcoins? Like, for example, Bitcoin Cash. Bitcoin Cash can drop to 50. But instead of going up 100% to 100, it will go back up to $200. And then drop from 200 to 150 and then go up 300. While Bitcoin cannot do that mathematically yet. It is the time is going to come where it's going to happen. But for Bitcoin to go from 3,000 to 6,000 to 12,000 to 24,000 in a month or two or three or four is pretty tough. The reason is it's a controlled coin. When they manipulate and control the price, it's not possible. But they can't control what is happening in 500 other cryptocurrencies. This is why you see these staggering gains in multiple coins, because they can't control it. It's crazy. This is what our data shows. We've been in a suppressed downwards trend. But what is going to happen? You're going to see in the next 2 months, 3 months, there's going to be a lot of changes in the financial industry. We're going to see a breakdown of the stock market. We're going to see a breakdown of gold and silver. And everything must come down. It's called deflation before we have hyperinflation. And it's not even going to be hyperinflation. The term hyperinflation will be minute. They won't even study that in universities anymore. It's going to be a completely new term. I don't know what it is, but they're going to come out with it. Where you're going to see, yeah, let's get quickly into silver. Silver still bounce upwards here, silver and gold. Now, remember, I believe that silver and gold is going to drop completely different than the rest of the world. Now, we have to be cautious here I'm only showing you what my data shows you. My data says that gold drops below 1,000, silver goes below $10. Litecoin goes so low that you can actually buy a McDonald's hamburger with one Litecoin. Now, what I'm going to say to you today is trade rather with caution. Because guys, if we look at the entire world and analyze every single aspect that we can, then it shows to me that there must be deflation. Before every single hyperinflation, there is deflation. You can go and have a look at, go into history and look at every single event before hyperinflation. This is why I said in the beginning of the year, I said 2020 will be remembered as the year of increase. Meaning, if we can get you out now on the top, and we are correct with what we are predicting, you take your money and you come back on the bottom when we tell you that's the bottom, and you come back and you pounce like a lion on its prey and you buy. Now you've increased your crypto count and you can make insane money at that point. What I'm saying here, guys, there are only two options. The majority of the world, 99% of the world, says that the world stock markets are going to drop, gold is going to spike, silver is going to spike, and then cryptocurrencies are going to spike. So we're going to have, what they say is that there's going to be a drop in October, a slight drop. We go down to about 10,000. And there's an entry point somewhere in October, and then we go back up again. What I'm saying is don't be too quick on buying these little drops. And we will get there. I'll show you what we see. But remember, what I see is a drop in gold, drop in silver, drop in stock markets, a drop in Bitcoin. Everything will drop. House prices will temporarily drop too. If your house is worth 600,000, it's going to drop down to 500, 400, 300,000 during that time. And we talk about October, November, December. And then, once everything is sorted out, suddenly markets turn around. And you are going to see that the Dow Jones will eventually go to 60,000 points. So let's see if we are correct. All I'm saying is, guys, just trade very cautious and carefully. We should have had a drop a long time ago, but I'm going to tell you what I see. The drop has not yet come. Do you know why? Because they're going to drop the stock market during the American election. If anything changes with what I see in my data, I'm going to update that immediately on the blog post. And guys, this is, we're really now in serious territory here, because you can either lose a lot of money or you can make a lot of money. The best thing that you can do, without giving you financial advice, exit. Exit majority of your positions. Because if I am wrong and Bitcoin goes back up and it spikes like crazy, what have you got to lose? You re-enter markets. I am now saying that 13,888 in Bitcoin is going to be the top. Remember in 2017, we called the top of Bitcoin. We were the only people in the world. I know a lot of people claim that they've done it. I've researched every single person that says that they call the top. There's not one person that can provide me a report or a video or anything else, but they claim they did it. We were the only people in the world. Now let me tell you, the same algorithmic analysis that we had at that point, I see the exact same data now. What happened after that top? The markets dropped and dropped and dropped and dropped. There is analysis that I am looking at now, and I mentioned this last week for the first time, that Bitcoin could potentially, till next year, 20 September 2021, not break $10,000 for a whole year. For a whole year. But your cryptocurrencies are going to break their all-time highs, so we don't have to worry about it. But you don't want to be too much in Bitcoin. But we're working on that data. This is what you pay us for. We're going to bring you that data. Okay, so let's just quickly carry on here. With regard to the world stock markets here, I'm just saying world stock markets. A lot of people ask me, they say they're confused, but I use the Dow Jones. It's the world stock markets, okay? This is just an indicator. All charts will look the same. You can use the S&P 500 as well. S&P 500 is probably more accurate. But in terms of this, we just want to figure out where's the eye. The high point here could easily be around about 29, 30,000. But in essence here, what I want to show you here is this. This is why I put it on the 4 hour, because we can see here what's happening. Look at this. See this little bit of a movement here? Doesn't that look similar to what's happening in cryptos? And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's what the Dow should do in the next 2 weeks or 10 days. Then it's potentially going to roll over, in my opinion. And it's going to do something like this. And at one point, don't be surprised if it just does a number on everybody, even well-known experts all around the world, the JP Morgans, those kind of people. So let's just trade very carefully here, guys. Now, remember, I don't want to be cry wolf, because remember, we have said similar stuff here, where we said that we're heading into a high point here and that the market should break down. But this was here in July. Look what we have now: August, September, October, November. What happens in November? November 3, the American election. Do you think for any moment that, and I'm not a politician, you guys, but think about this. Do you think for any second that the Democratic Party is going to allow the American economy to be strong and the Dow Jones to just go up and up and up while Donald Trump is running for election? No, they won't. Okay, there's some devious people all around the world, guys. And we, the little guy, we sit with all the problems. We try to make honest money, but everything is manipulated. But if we at least know what they're going to do, we can plan ahead. Okay, now with regard to UK oil, remember last week we were there and I said that what we must see in, not necessarily UK oil, but let's say Brent oil. There's a whole bunch of different, there's about 24 instruments for oil, but let's just use this one. We were about, where were we? There. I think we were around about there. And we said that it's going to make a loop upwards here. We're almost done. This front runs what is going to happen in Bitcoin. Can you see that it already had a spike? And then also very interesting, can you see this little spike there? Doesn't that look the same as NEO? So Bitcoin is behind. And then the UK oil or Brent still has to go up a little bit and up a little bit. And I believe that it's going to break this line of 45 and go slightly up before it rolls over and then comes down. Now let's quickly have a look here at this one here. This model here is the one that we ran last week, and I see a lot of people all over the world is now copying this data. We've had this now for almost the whole year running this. As soon as the DXY points upwards, now here is what I'm going to explain to you now, okay? Pay very close attention to this now. I'm here on the monthly chart. Okay, now this is the movement of the American dollar. Here it went and just skyrocketed upwards. Came down here, up there, and then we had this drop here. Now, what is really interesting about this here, what I am saying here, and this is where I am going against almost about 99% of people around the world. I'm saying here that when this starts to turn around, is that you are going to have a huge drop in gold, silver, world assets, housing, literally every single thing, paintings, cars, old cars, everything in the world is just going to drop. Is what you call deflation. And the deflation will come down and bounce on the bottom. And now it won't go up that high because we're on the monthly chart here now. You could potentially just see a move upwards here, and then a move downwards here, and then later upwards here again. Okay. Now, at this specific point in time, it's going to be a little bit different. There's going to be a unique event, in my opinion, because when I look at the data, I go like, man, this is unique. How can this actually happen? But I'm telling you what my data says. Now, many people say that what is actually going to happen here is that the US dollar is going to drop in value. So they say that it's going to do this. And when this drops, what happens with gold spikes to 4,000 and 5,000, and silver goes up to $100 and $200. And then what they say, Bitcoin is going to spike as well. Okay. Now, when we look at the past data, when the world stock markets dropped every single time, I'm talking of major events now, when the world stock markets dropped, cryptos dropped as well. Why would this actually be a little bit different? Now, let's keep this in the back of our mind that if this drops here, and remember we in a rising wedge, and this is what people are saying, this is what I showed you now, you're in a rising wedge, you've come there, you come there, it could drop, there's a big probability that it could. But what I am saying is that we are going to go on the monthly chart now, we're going to go up. Now, what is going to happen is all around the world, the US dollar is going to become a lot stronger, not weaker, like what everybody's saying. And famous people, I can mention their names now here, you'll recognize their names. It's not that I want to go against them, I'm just showing you what I see in my data. Now here, if I take this bottom bit here, see this little green candle here, just there, that's a monthly. If I go and put this up now here on the 1 hour, see there's a 1 hour. Then what happens is it gives me this little chart here on the bottom. And last week, we said that it's following this little pattern here, which is a bottom reversal pattern. This pattern is not a pattern that says that we are going to drop. Now, of course, it can happen. Keep it in your mind, 5% we could drop. Now, if we drop here, it could be that gold spikes and that silver spikes, but it's a small percentage. Now, if you look at this model here on the bottom, this one here that I drew last week, and we just go and put the left, right, inverted head and shoulders. It normally doesn't happen on the bottom. So, for those technical guys who sent me and said, you are wrong, you can't do a head and shoulders on the bottom. It's not that we do that, it's just visual purposes. And you can. There's no boundaries on how you want to use Elliott wave and all these indicators. Use it however you want. This is a nice visual indicator. So your left hand shoulder here, that's most likely a left hand. This most likely is the head. What I'm saying here is that this one here could come down and then go back up. Now, here is the key. When this drops, okay, look at what happened now. As soon as this dropped here, what happened with NEO? NEO went up. Okay, let's go back to NEO. See that spike there? NEO went up. Let's go back. Now, it's going to return back there and then it's going to drop again. And NEO is going to spike again. And then it's going to come down to a point here, maybe here down to about 24, 25, 26. When you see that turn around, wherever that is, that will then turn around for cryptos as well. Now remember, I'm on the hour chart here, so you have to kind of like just make it a little bit larger and pull that out a little bit. But anyway, you do get the point here. We are going to drop. I don't believe we're going to drop lower than this point here because that's your head, inverted head and shoulder. That's your head, and we could drop to about 92 around about there. The point is here, guys, don't make things complicated. I see a drop coming, then I see a move upwards. At that point there, when the US dollar index turns around, you're going to see that Bitcoin is going to drop. And then what happens is this will turn around and go back upwards. When that turns around and the dollar becomes stronger, most people who are going to sell the gold, move it into US dollar. Sell the silver, move it into US dollar. Now what they actually do, they are buying US dollar. They didn't move it in there. They bought US dollar, like you would buy Litecoin or you buy Bitcoin. I buy US dollar. What happens when everybody buys the US dollar? The US dollar goes up in price. Okay, it's a simple demand. Now at that point, Europe is going to move some money into the US dollar. The Middle East is going to move their money into US dollar. Why is the Middle East going to move it in? Because they want to buy US dollar. They want to buy US dollar. Why is the Middle East going to move it in? Because they want to buy US dollar. Why is the Middle East going to move it in? Because they want to buy US dollar. Why is the Middle East going to move it in? Because they want to buy US dollar. Donald Trump is a lot smarter than what you think he is. The peace deal is all about saving the US dollar as well. So what they're going to do, Israel and all those countries moving money currently into US dollar. It's a big deal around making peace, saving the US dollar. So this is what we believe is in the play at this moment. Okay, rightio, let's quickly, okay, and then you'll see that the US dollar, the AUD, South African Rand, is just going to become weaker. So what you want to do if you've got Rand, get it out of the banks. I know the banks are very difficult in South Africa, you can't get it out, but move it onto the Luno exchange and get it into cryptos. And if anything, if you don't want to put it in cryptos, put it in US dollar or a stable coin, because you will literally be able in the next 3 months to move that money back and you would have made about 20% gain. Okay, Tertius, I don't know if there's any other questions here. I know, guys, we are going on very long and there's a lot of coins we haven't gone through. But while there's questions, I'll just run these charts here, just as a visual. That's BLZ, that's BAL, balance. So we can start asking questions there, Bill, if you want. And then we've got comp.
Yeah, we've got a few.
Just have a look at this bounce here in Lend as well, or AVE, guys. Look, see this bounce here was very large. It could be that this is just a very big move here in Lend as well. Keep that in mind. Mark, just go ahead with your question.
Yep, I think we finally got unmuted. My question is on the Dow Jones. If you could just expand a little bit more in detail kind of time. Do you see that again? I agree before the election, but would just love to maybe get just a little bit more analysis. Thank you.
Yeah, on the Dow Jones, I haven't really got too much information about where the market is going to go with regard to the Dow. But what I can say, what we said last time, is that we see a bit of a move upwards here, a rounding there, and then a sudden drop. That drop will be very quick and sudden. I don't know when that's going to be, but in all honesty, Mark, it could be after the election as well. So you could find that that goes after the election. Or it could happen in stages, you know, where you will have a drop, sideways action. But there's definitely going to be a pullback before November 3. And then every single time after an American election, the stock market's dropped. Okay, so, and remember, guys, you can do whatever you want, any analysis on the world stock markets. Go and do the S&P 500, whatever you want to do. Nothing works anymore. Because the problem is that the Federal Reserve is involved by buying stocks. But at one point, they keep buying, pushing money in the market. At one point, it doesn't help anymore. And then it's what you just call a break. It breaks. And it doesn't matter what you do. It just goes and slides downwards. And then we've got the SXP is really terrible, just sliding downwards. But we could see a bounce upwards here. I don't think this is going to do the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Remember, this is not really a coin that we actually followed. I think there's somebody in our membership that is following that one. And that's Sand. Yeah, just let me know if there's any other questions. We can quickly go through them.
Yeah, we've got Harpreet.
Good morning, Marius. First of all, beautiful presentation, making good profits made lately. I've got a different question. I've got a question in regards to AGI, because I've done a bit of research. The person behind it is Dr. Ben. He spent 30 years in artificial intelligence. So just for the long-term view, do you have any idea where that, as per your algorithm, where AGI goes, like roughly how much percentage and which year? Just a rough idea, just to hold on for a long term. Thank you.
Yeah, AGI is really one of my favorite coins, and we've been following that now for a long time. So AGI, in our opinion, if you drop it about, I don't know what the price is now, but almost at the price, a little bit lower where it is now, it goes up about 6,000%. And we believe that it could do it within the next 12 months. That's why I'm not selling my AGI. I'm constantly adding to positions of AGI. AGI, Walton coin, and a few other coins. Those are definitely coins that I am following. with regard to AGI, yeah, just send me a private email. My staff will pick it up and we can help you with that. Okay. I might put it in the next report as well.
We've got Todd. Go ahead.
Hey, Marius, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can.
Okay. I just want to make a comment regarding the Bitcoin, which you mentioned being range bound. I have a real high level source that has an OTC exchange. He's actually opening up a retail exchange that will be able to move into precious metals. He works for Malco, one of the largest vaulters in the Good Delivery Network. But had a conversation with him a couple of weeks ago, and he deals with some very large banks. And he said they're looking, 2/3 of the bankers that are buying are looking to range bound Bitcoin between 10 and 13. And the other third are looking to cap it at 10 until things get really ugly with the monetary system. So that would reinforce what you're saying there.
Yeah, that's interesting. Thank you for that.
Uh-huh.
I tell you what, guys, there's definitely something that we see that they're going to keep it range bound for a while. And once it drops below that, not really 10, Alex, I don't know, I think you've got that number, but it's about 9.4, 9.8. But anyway, once it drops here below 10, somewhere there, and it just keeps on dropping, it could go down to about 1.4, 1.5, and then it comes back to about 3, 4, and 6,000, and it stays there. It stays there. It jumps like a little bouncing ball, up, down, up, down. We've already got all that analysis worked out, guys. You won't believe what we have, you know. We can literally see the future. And the closer we get to this time, we can have all this data a lot more accurate. My whole goal is just really to get you out on the top now. And this is to get you out. And then we're going to stay out for a while and just check the market. We're not going to get back in too quick. And once we get back, we'll get back in full time. There is a time point. One time point is about 18 December where it drops to a low. I don't believe that could be the entire low point. But 18 December 2020, this year, could be a low point and an enter point. We ride it up and then we exit again at some point, and it then could drop lower. But guys, we've still got so much time to get there. You know, I think let's focus on getting out on the top now. Don't be too greedy. One other coin I just want to show you. There's two actually. Look at this thing here, which is SRM. Maybe following this kind of pattern, ascending, broadening wedge. And there's another one which I showed last week. Remember this one. Could perhaps also do that. You know, this is just a little bit downwards trend. But I don't want that actually to go too much lower. But if this starts turning upwards here, we could have some really spectacular moves here in DIA. If this now starts to move upwards here. And we still got some time here. Remember, your endpoint, look at this, and I'm on a 2-hour chart. If you look at here about 27.28, there's your line. So you could still make some really great profit here. Just while we're watching, is there any other questions there, Bill?
We've got Todd up next. Go ahead, Todd.
Todd's asked his question.
Oh, you already got me.
Oh, I'm sorry. No, so we've got Alan. Alan is in the queue up next.
Yeah, I was just wondering if you have any formulas or hard and fast rules that you use for stop loss orders on your long-term trades, swing trades.
Yes, we do, but it's probably better, Alex, if you want to explain that. Are you still there, Alex?
Yeah, I'm here. I did not acoustically hear the question, so please repeat the question again.
Yeah, I was wondering if you had any hard and fast rules or formulas that you use for setting up your stop losses on your swing trades.
Me personally, no, not really. So, but what I always try is also to use a stop profit. So when I see that a coin is going up, you should not be too greedy and adjust your stop loss directly into profit. So for example, if now, let's say Ethereum, because it's now going up, is now, what is it? Almost 7% up. So, and I got in at the initial move, so and I'm up now 7%, then I would adjust my stop loss at least to my entry point, that I'm, if I get stopped out, that I'm didn't had any loss, and then I would trail it up. So, and otherwise, my rule for a stop loss is I set it normally under my entry 5 to 7% on swing trades.
And then do you use a trailing stop loss for 5% or whatever, all the way up?
What I do is I trail it from hand, so I don't use an automated trailing stop for it. So I could obviously use it on any exchange I want, but I feel more comfortable to do it by hand when I look at the charts and see actually what the price action is doing, because sometimes you just get wigged out and then it spikes out of the sudden, and then you miss that move.
Yeah, that's the problem I've had with stop losses in cryptos. It spikes down on you, and then you lose the upward momentum.
Yeah. Other question, Alan. Did you do any of the courses that we have?
I've done a lot of technical analysis through another company. So.
Okay, yeah. Because what you see a lot is that the price is going back to support levels, you know, on the way down to test them, and that's where many people have their stop losses, and that's exactly then the point where they get wigged out.
Right.
So another strategy is what we do is we set them a little bit under these support levels, you know, so that we don't set our stop losses where the majority of people have their stop losses.
Right, that makes sense.
Hey, Marius, thanks for the webinar. Just a quick 2 questions. I was wondering, in the last webinar that you had, you mentioned something quickly about Ethereum Bear X3. I was hoping that you could maybe give a little bit more info on that. And one more question. I mentioned, you said we should be exiting right now. Does that mean like right now, like this weekend, or am I good for another week or so until 25, 27 September?
Yeah, the high point will be approximately between 24 and 27. You give it a 3-day grace period. I will update you on the blog posts or a new report and give you a specific better timeline in terms of Bitcoin. However, remember that not all coins are going to spike up at the same time. Neo is most likely going to do it first, Litecoin will follow, and some other coins will spike up and hit the top first. So you really need to look at the individual coins that you trade to find that high point. But work 24 to 27, 3-day grace period, that is your timeline. Now, your second question, or your first question rather, with regard to Ethereum Bear, you can find it on FTX. What we are saying is look at these coins, because when the market starts dropping downwards, if we are correct that the market is going to go way down, and remember guys, keep all this information private, because if everybody thinks that the market is going to drop, then everybody will be out of the market. That's going to defeat the purpose. It's very important that all of us keep the information private. We just found this week again that people would create a Telegram group and then send our personal information to multiple people. And this one individual even charged, $100 a month per member. And what she did, she grabbed data from all other groups and posted it there. It's very unethical, but more, it defeats the purpose of what we are trying to do, to have a select group of people that know information that nobody else has. And because when you sell, you have to have a buyer. If we don't have buyers, you won't be able to sell. We're just smarter than the rest. It's kind of like a jungle of cryptocurrencies. The strong is going to survive. Anyway, now when this market starts dropping here with you will see that FTX Bear is going to come down to about this point here of 0.036, somewhere around there. That's our target there. In that point, when that drops, Bitcoin is actually going to rise and Ethereum is going to rise. Remember, it's the opposite. So when it comes right down to the bottom and we exit our positions in Ethereum, I'm going to move all my Ethereum, not all my money, but I'm going to sell all my Ethereum at the next high. And then I'm only going to take a small percentage, maybe $1,000. I'm going to put it here into Ethereum Bear, because when Ethereum then drops, Bear is going to turn around and go the opposite way. Now, I'm not saying that we are going to make an 88,000% gain there, but it is possible. But if the market drops and you only make a 200, 300% profit, remember, it's not that easy to make this on FTX. Remember, some of these are leverage trading. You have to be careful and know what you do. That's why you need to do the training, ask questions, be in groups, go and do your own research. Be smart about these things, guys. Many people go to FTX, like the questions that we get, and then I send people an email back, or my staff do, and say, look, did you even read the documentation from FTX? The questions and answers, you know, all that kind of stuff. And then people say, oh, no, we didn't. Then we say, okay, right, go and read that. So, sorry, does that answer your question? But
yes, thank you very much, Marius. It's just one more quick, like, what would be the time frame between getting in and an expected jump up?
Oh, the time frame. We expect that year by, okay, let's make it around some 1 October. Between that week, the first week of October, I'm going to check the market and see what happens, because I think the market's going to roll over. Look, the top for Bitcoin is going to look like this. Let me quickly show you. The top is going to look like this. I believe it comes down like that. It goes back up. It does another one like this, and then it goes almost just about, I believe it was about 16%. You can just do a Fibonacci on that, but it goes to that level there, and then the market rolls over. So we are now saying that this high point, let's round it off, is 1 October. Okay? Oops, I've got all these arrows there now. That doesn't work. But let's say that is 1 October. And then this is the month of October where we drop down. Now, many people say that Bitcoin comes to a point here at about 7,000 or 8,000. And then it turns around, and then we have another breakout upwards where Bitcoin goes to 20. I'm saying that is not going to happen. But there will be a pivotal point here that will start breaking down. And then it breaks down into, I'm only going to give you this date yet. I will give you further dates later on. But the 18th December 2020 is a very important low point. I'm not going to state and say that is the entire low point, but at the moment, let's work on that date as the low point. But the market, if the market goes down, it doesn't go down all just quickly in one line. It's a sliding downwards movement, similar to what you saw there. See here, the market drops, 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 drops. And when it goes up, it's going to drop again. Okay, so just keep that in mind. I hope that answers your question there. You can see here, Ethereum is just trying to break this line here. Our next target to break is really going to be around about this one here, 390, 400. Yeah, go ahead.
Yes, Marius. Good evening. Marius, I was going to ask if your algorithms would pick the coin, the cryptos that are going to go first. For example, you say NEO is going first. Do we expect that to know other currencies, other cryptos that will follow, because time is of the essence, so we could make profit and make gains with the next set of cryptos that will go, rather than being cut off by the timing, and then some of us have made a little bit of loss. We are planning to to catch up back. So we're wondering if you could give us cryptos that will follow NEO next.
Yeah, unfortunately, we do not have a list like that because we can't predict what the coins will do. We've tried to do it, but it just doesn't work. So what I can do is to say this. If you follow NEO for now, remember, where are most coins at the moment? Let's quickly have a look here. Most coins are doing this now and are basically there, somewhere there. And they're just ready to break out. if you do this analysis here and you pull it down there, NEO broke out there, right there. If you apply the 55% rule from that breakout, then it shows that NEO goes up to about around about there, more or less. So you can see that NEO is already there, but other coins are way back here. Somewhere there, Ethereum is now somewhere there. So it shows me that Ethereum and Bitcoin, well, Bitcoin is a little bit lower. Bitcoin is just behind Ethereum. So it shows me that Bitcoin still has to do that. Then it's going to have a drop, and then it's going to have another spike upwards. Now, it will happen a lot faster because they have to play catch up to get to this high point here. So since we know what, let's say, NEO is doing, let's quickly go and have a look and see, okay, Ethereum, for example, let's go to Theta. Let's say you're trading Theta. Now remember, this is where NEO is now. Remember, it went up here. Let's go and have a look at Theta. Just analyze Theta here for a quick second. Just clean that up. Okay. Where is Theta in terms of where NEO is? Okay, it broke out here. Look at that. It broke out. It went up. Look at that. And then what happened with NEO? NEO broke out. So what is going to happen with Theta? Theta is going to break out because Theta is going to follow NEO. So let's go back to NEO. Now remember there, I'm going to draw that and then that arrow there. There. Now, if you want to make some quick money, you get back in Theta, because Theta is about to break out. Now, you can apply this rule almost across the entire board with most to all cryptos. Not everything, but most to all. Now, look at this. I'm going to show you BSV, for example, now. Now, let's have a look here. Let's go and take NEO. Just quickly here. Oops. And remember, it doesn't always work like this. This is just a very unique situation that we have here. Now, look here on the bottom here. You can probably say that, and remember, I'm on 4 hours. That's your bottom reversal. Let's just go and put let me just do it different. I'm just going to put this one in. Something like that. And then once the Z were done, we had a breakout. Now, if I apply that same rule now, let's say to BSV, let's go to BSV and have a look. And it's important that you probably understand that, because once you get taught this and you see this, then you can actually go and do your own analysis over this weekend. Okay, now what I'm going to do, okay, look at that. I'm just going to clean the chart up a little bit so that you can see what's happening here. Can you see, just for the guy who asked the question there, can you see that we are almost the same position as NEO? Now what I'm going to do is, again, I'm going to just run that down. What comes next? What comes next is exactly what happened with NEO. It's going to break out. Let's go back to NEO. Let's see what happened there. Look what happened here, guys. It just broke out. So BSV is going to do that as well. It's only delayed. There's going to be a breakout in BSV that will take it up very high. And we predicted this long before. People go crazy. They can't understand how we can work at these things way in advance. But all I can tell you, what I was looking for was this little bit of a spike. I wanted to see this one go a little bit higher, and that actually didn't happen. It should have broken out and then come back into this channel, and that didn't happen. This says to me that we may have a lower point going upwards here. So it's kind of like just a lower mathematical equation, but nonetheless, you are going to have a spike. That's why I'm still in BSV. And when I saw this just being dragged out, That's why I said on Tuesday, Wednesday, I said, no, just hold it a little bit. There's nothing wrong here yet. We still got some time. And remember, 24, there's 24, there is 27. You've still got some time left here in terms of a potential spike. 9 days, 9 days, 12 hours. And if we give it a grace period, 30, you've even got a little bit extra time there, 12 days, 13 days. So we do have some time, but I can tell you this, guys, when we get here 27, when is 27? Shit, 27 is next week, Sunday. If we get into next week Friday, and we do this presentation next week Friday, it's going to be a critical week. If these coins have not yet moved, man, if you're in a loss, it's probably better just to take that loss. So for example, a loss that I mean, if you bought, for example, let's say here for BSV and you bought at 185, and if it stays here at 165, I personally will take the $20 loss per coin. Why? Because I'll come back and buy it lower. Now, it's not going to happen. I believe that we are going to break out. I'm just saying be prepared for either side. The same way, think about this now. Why have I sold NEO on the top there? I'm taking profits. Every single coin that now goes up, I'm taking profits. NEO, taking profits. Do I care if this can go up another 20 or 30%? No, I've still got a little bit left over. I'm just going to run it up. The rest of the money that I sold here, that's way back in the bank. I'm not touching it. I'm not looking at coins now and go like, man, I can make another 20, 30, 40, 100% here. I'm not investing that. I'm moving my cash out. This is the time to cash your money in. So just to wrap up here, just with regard to your question, use NEO as the front runner. And if you look at the algorithm analysis that we've shown for Bitcoin, Bitcoin is most likely there, somewhere there. And then you will find, okay, look at that high point there. You will find that Ethereum is about there. Let's go back to Ethereum. Look at that. See, Ethereum is almost here. Almost there. That's exactly where Ethereum is. Now, Ethereum, I'm just doing this on a 4-hour chart, but if I speed it up a little bit and just condense it, then the picture comes a little bit more clear. And you can see why this is going to follow what NEO is doing. Okay, so I hope that helps you to make your decisions this week.
Thank you, Marius.
Zabur?
Hello, Marius. Hope you're well. Hope everyone's well. And I'm your latest subscriber. I joined last night, and this is information why I joined. I have 3 very quick questions. Number 1, when we exit the market, crypto market, which stable coin do you trust the most for us to, when we exit, take everything out? Number 2, when do you think we will hit the peak of this bull market like we had in 2017, 28? And if, like you says, you can predict along the way the future was coming, how many high points do you think we will have until we reach the peak? So high points when we get out and the low points when we exit, just so we can multiply our coins. Those are the 3 quick questions.
Just ask that one question again. The first one?
First one, which stable coin do you trust? If you was to exit the market, I wanted to put our money into a stable coin. Which stable coin would you recommend? Because
okay, got it. And your second one was?
And the second one was, when do you think we will have the peak of this bull market, like the 2017 when 2018 when everything turned bearish and started to come down?
Oh, okay, the peak. Okay, and okay. Yes. Yeah, so with regard to stable coins, Zabor, I will send you a link because you only became a subscriber now. Most of our subscribers actually know we have posted a blog post showing the 5 coins that we suggest, and then USDT is the 6th one, which we don't recommend. I'm not saying that USDT, you don't have to use it. I use it all day long, okay? because I trade the pairs on Binance and all that kind of stuff, and Wendy uses it, and all the other analysts use it as well. All I'm saying is spread your risk. I will send you that link. By the way, guys, you can just go to your blog post and you'll find it there. I think it's called it's just called stablecoins. Now, with regard to the peak for Bitcoin this year, in my opinion, is now. I think we've got enough data here, really,
You've covered an enormous amount of data and a lot of information to process. We do have four more questions, but if you want to take one more, we've got Jeff.
Okay, let's go through all four,
Jeff.
but just all four, and I'll try and answer them really quickly.
Okay, so we've got Jeff. Go ahead.
Thank you, Marius. You shared a lot of charts last week, but you didn't share RSR. I was wondering if you could pull up RSR. And while you're doing that, a second question. I found ETH down on Binance. Is that similar to ETH bear?
That is correct. Yeah, it's the same.
Okay.
Same principle. You can also trade it. I think, did you send an email with regard to that, I think?
Maybe. But I just happened to find it, wanted to share it with the audience.
Okay. Yeah, guys, if you can't get FTX, you can go to Binance and you can trade it. Binance, I'm starting to see some really good changes in Binance. They're doing pretty good. So, okay, RSR, did we have it last week? I can't remember.
You were close to pulling it up, but you did not pull that one up.
Okay, RSR, let's just move this over to our target here, 20, let's say 30. Our targets here would still remain, sorry, just give me a second. Let me just have a look here. I've got some notes here.
Sure.
Oh, that's today. Let me just see my notes. Okay, good thing about RSR here is that we still believe that this one is going to hit this target here of 0.028. So similar rule applies again. I would just do this very, very easy, very basic, however you want to draw your lines there. But you must have some sort of a breakout here. I believe this is going to be one of the late breakers, but you will see a break upwards here. And at that point there, let's just for interesting sake, I own RSR as well. If the break is there, I thought we discussed this last week. It's weird that I didn't discuss that actually, but for me personally, as soon as we hit this 55% target from the breakout, remember I'm looking at the breakout, one good thing here is that it hasn't dropped lower. See that point there? That point there, how minute it may be, hasn't dropped lower than this point here. So this for me in all purposes, is just a simple A, B, C, D, E. Sell. There.
Perfect. Thank you.
It's going to come back up again and possibly just drop. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, next question there.
Eduardo, go ahead and unmute yourself.
Hi, Marius. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Yeah. Thanks for the presentation. And could you please take a look into Theta Field? I have some, but has been underperforming while Theta is moving. So I don't know if it will be a better idea to move that into a better coin.
Yeah, Theta Fuel, I haven't got any charts on Theta Fuel, but it is strange for me that Theta Fuel has not really moved up while Theta is moving. It could just be playing catch up. I don't know, Alex, if you've got more data on that, or maybe Craig, I don't know if that's one of the things that you guys follow, but Theta Fuel is not really performing really well. Instead of giving you financial advice, I'll tell you what I would have done. Looking at the chart of NEO, okay, you know where NEO is, you know what NEO is going to do, and then you see that Theta is following NEO. I would move that into Theta. If I had Theta Fuel, which I do actually have, but it's a small amount, I'm not going to sell a small amount, but if I had a lot of Theta Fuel, I would move a big percentage into Theta.
Okay, thank you.
You look at theta, that can potentially go up here, make it about 70. You look at another 30% in theta. And remember what we said, the target here was about 84, I believe, another 55%. If there's time left over, you're going to make it. But look where my point is. My high point there is about 77. But it could spike up to about 85. Regardless, guys, look, if you made 10, 20, 50%, you're good. Okay, let's go to the next question there. Last question, I believe, or second last.
Christopher? Yeah, we've got Christopher up next.
Yeah, hey, Marius. Can you hear me?
Yeah, Christopher, how are you doing?
Hey, good, thank you. Just questions around Link. That target between like a 22 and change and 28 with your model. First part of the question is what's your confidence level? Secondly, do you see that happening towards the end, like close to the 24, 27 September, or would that happen a little bit sooner?
Sorry, what model are you talking about?
Well, your algorithms.
Oh yeah. What about it?
Yeah. So what's your confidence level that it gets to that 22, 28 level, right, for Link? And would that be towards, closer to 27 September, or do you think that might happen a little sooner?
Oh, for Link. Okay, let's
Yeah.
quickly analyze this quickly. Okay, let's have a look, because I own a lot of Link as well. Man, gee.
I'm in the same boat.
Yeah. See, yeah, if you look at this model here, it clearly shows actually that if I'm on 4 hours now, that this is the drop. That could be the move there. I'm not really 100% sure that this is actually following the model here, but what I do see here in Link, if we break this high point here, I'm definitely going to sell here at about 22. As I said, if it breaks this 22, it could go to 47. But guys, to be honest with you, okay, let's have a look here. I mean, this time frame here is something that just bothers me. I mean, you look at about 7, 8, 9 days left. 9 days. It could go grace period, 10, 11, 12 days. I can tell you now that I think if we go back up here to this level here, 2022, yes, that's a big gain. For Link to do that, it can do that. It's going to have to be a gigantic move, 100%.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
It can do it. It can do it. And if it does that, I'm out. If I make 100%, yes, I'm out. Again, there's that bit of a loop there. All coins are doing that, similar to that of OMG. And then what is missing here is just a simple spike upwards here. It could be that we topped. Remember, the same with OMG. OMG is there. OMG came down as well, similar. Could be that this has topped, but we have to push out some percentage gain. Now, if I come, let's say here at about 27, 28, and let's say Link is only at about $13 or $14, I'm going to start taking profits. Yeah, I'm going to limit my exposure. If I have, let's say, $5,000 worth of Link, I'm going to sell 2,000. And then as the market moves up, I sell, exit, 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 exit.
Very good. Thank you, Marius.
Yeah, Link, I think, caught a lot of people off guard, and it caught me off guard as well. Where it started making this turn here. Look at that ABC. It started making that, and then it went 1, 2, and then suddenly, sometimes these things don't work out, and you can't hit yourself over the head about it, like, for example, for myself, I bought there. Re-enter markets, 14.7. Bang, it went up, up, up. And then during this drop, that's why stop losses are important. I put stop losses in. Not all my stop losses got executed. And I found myself the next day waking up, bugger, this thing just dropped. And you've got no other option just to ride it out. Now at least you're back here, but in real terms, and I think most people are in this position. If you look at that, let's say you would probably be around about a 20, 25% loss in some coins if you bought at higher positions. In other coins, you back up in profit, way up in profit, like Neo, way up in profit in Theta. But it's the nature of the game. This is what we do. You can't win everything. But with this one here, if I gain back 25%, man, I'm happy. I didn't lose a cent, but I really want to make some profit. So hopefully we will get this target up to about 21, 22. Yeah, send me an email as soon as it hits at 22 and let me know how you go. If we hit that, that'll be amazing. One of the other things also, if it does hit, for example, if it does hit that 22, just look at what's happening here. Remember, that will actually kind of be a, cup and handle with a downtrend there. And remember, it's going to go back up again before then later drops. Don't get caught out that this is going to be a cup and handle, it's just going to break out. We don't see that, Many coins are going to form cup and handles. Cup and handles don't always break out. Okay, so is that the end of the questions, Bill?
So Marius, we had, of the fourth question that we were going to take, we have one more, and that's Roger, and then we're finished for the day.
Okay, cool. Let's go, Roger.
So, Roger, go ahead and unmute yourself. There we go. Roger, go ahead.
Okay. 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 I don't know. Maybe. Or should we wait for the end of the?
Okay, Roger. Maybe just if you have got your video on, just stop your video. We can't hear you. You're just breaking up.
Okay, I was asking. Do we have to go back into the market right?
Roger, we can't hear you. You keep breaking up.
Now, or do we have to wait for the end of the weekend? So to wait Monday, Tuesday, or is it already the market? Oh, sorry. Can you hear me?
No, you're breaking up.
No.
We can't hear you. But anyway, I believe your question is, should we wait for the weekend to exit? No. What you do, guys, do this. When your coin is in profit, like Neo, take profit. Your other coins, if you get to 27, 24, 27, somewhere around that time, that's going to be the time point for you to really consider and get out of your positions. Guys, what I can recommend is follow this algorithmic analysis here. This gives a very unique future price forecast. I've just been emailed by a really big bank who says to me, how on earth can you predict the future? Because it's been working pretty accurate and they want the data. They've been a customer with us long before. Remember way back, we used to provide data to big banks and we decided not to do it anymore because I'm not in favor of big banks. I was in New York and I've told the story where I was invited to go in to these, I call them thugs, man, really they are because they manipulate the markets. Where you go in, they invite you in, you smoke a cigar, they give you cognac, they take your jacket and you mingle there with all these big financial guys. What I discovered there, guys, is that these people are so unethical. They steal from the little guy. Little did these people know that I grew up in an orphanage way back in South Africa, very poor, never had shoes to go to school. At the age of about 8 years old, the first time I had a pair of shoes to go to school. Always had to sit in the back of the class while the rich kids sat on the front on all these desks. Kid you not, guys. I'm 50 years old now. This is 40 years ago. How they treated orphans. Now, world has changed now. But little did these people know that I don't like people that do these kind of things. And we stopped the work for them. So now somehow these people has got hold of our data and they've been emailing me and said, can I please produce this data for them? Now, what I'm saying here is that if you look at where we are now, look where I say where we are now. Bitcoin is here with the upcycle still to come. Look at that red candle there. Okay, look at that red candle. What comes next? 2 days, 3 days, maybe this weekend, a nice big spike. I believe we're going to see a nice big spike. Then a bit of a sideways move, and then one more last spike. At that spike, when you see this formation in Bitcoin and Ethereum, you need to get out. Because what comes next here is this downtrend here. And in the model of the video that I showed you yesterday, I show you what comes next. We're not going to go up and hit this 5-point here. This is actually the old model. Let me actually give you this one. Here we go. Here we go. Here we go. Go and watch this video. Look there. We are there now. What comes next is that high point there, not later on. The high point is brought forward. It's not going to be dragged out. And if I just take this forward, look what happens here. We get into that high point there. So we are there now at that red candle. Now let me go back and show you where that red candle is in Bitcoin. There you go. There's your red candle, guys. There's your red candle. See how accurate this algorithm analysis is. And these banks want this data. Guess what? They can go and get stuffed. Our data is for our people. We want to help people become millionaires. And remember, guys, there's no way that we can be 100% accurate. No way. And we never claim that. But if you know where the high point is, look how all the people in the world now, everybody thinks that Bitcoin is going to moon. I'm telling you now, we are heading to a high point. You need to be very careful. Multiple high points has presented itself here. This point here, let me show you something else as well here quickly. People are drawing a trend line here. This is how they manipulate these markets here. If you draw that line, let me just say, remove all drawings and indicators. If you take this line here from about the bottom here, you can see here that we broke out here. Now, what many people are saying here is that that is a wedge and we've broken out, and what's going to happen is we're going to go up here a little bit higher and then drop. That can happen as well. We have to be prepared for that. It can happen. But this trend line should actually be like this. Why should it be like that? Because they manipulate these markets. This drop here, there should have been a drop here. Remember the drop that we predicted and said that's going to happen? And then it's going to go up here, like this, into a high point there. And then it drops again down, and then you have a final point there, and then comes the drop. Now, doesn't that look now like a better, it's a better rising wedge. Why? Why is it a better one? Because you simply have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then your drop. I was very surprised when this drop here didn't occur. And I think, Alex, you too. I think just from a technical perspective, I was like, unbelievable. What the heck is happening? Now what has happened is they just brought that little drop in here. There's an algorithm must always play out. And that brings the price back level again. So that drop just occurred there. This tells me that I believe that we are going to have one more higher high, higher than this point. Okay, I think that is the end of the presentation, guys. We probably need to get going, Abel.
So that's it. That's it, Marius. We've been on the phone for about 2.5 hours. So I think covered a lot of information today.
Yeah, we spent some extra time. It's just really important stuff, guys. We're heading to a high point. Let's just be careful. Okay, Bill, do you want to close for us? I don't know if Tarsis is here still.
So I'll just say yes. Thank you for everything, Marius. Lots of great information. To your point, trade with caution. And when we're in profit in the next 10 days, don't be afraid to take profit.